on TikTok. Okay, I am now live on TikTok. What else should I be doing? I have the Tiltify webpage open on my phone, so I can see donations. Let me paste the donation link on TikTok. I can't pin comments, I don't think. Let me see. Yeah, there's no option to pin comments. I think TikTok just moderated my comments. It says some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. And the only comment is mine with the donation link. So I think I just got moderated by TikTok. Okay, I also need to actually open up the TikTok app so that I can monitor the live stream. Yeah, it looks like they moderated my my comments on my own live stream. That's funny. Hello, Matthias. I'm currently juggling 3 live streams at once, so if I seem like I'm out of it, or I seem like I'm not paying attention, I actually am paying attention to everything. So first thing we're gonna do, open up browser. First thing we're gonna do is, I didn't finish my, my practice a couple days ago. What the heck is going on with Notepad++? Let me close it and open it up again. Remember when we fought the Grinch because he snitched on us for stealing his dog? Is that a Jim Carrey Grinch reference? Okay, so first off, we're gonna be doing the 160 words per minute practice that I started the other day that I never finished. I am on the Q&A portion. I was feeling really tired that day, and I had absolutely no energy to try and keep up at 160 words per minute. But I have energy now. Let me put down the volume a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna be competing with the instructor's audio.
Welcome to Q&A practice. Let's start with...
She's way too... She's not loud enough. We make her a little louder.
The plaintiff attorney.
Yeah, maybe she's too loud
Ready?
now. Plaintiff.
Was it the 1999 product year or was it 1998? I don't know for sure. Okay, and who is Mr. Sanchez? He's the director of R&D. And is he employed by Writer North China? Yes. but his email address indicates Writer North Limited. Is that fair? Yes. Why would that be if he was employed by Writer North China, if you know? I have no idea. Maybe that's the only email address they had at the time. Okay, I direct your attention to the second page, which is FO 30241, and there's a line that says FYI, comma, following canopies are selling in Walmart stores. Do you see where I am? Yes. And the third product listed, which is listed as retailing at $92.51, was a 10 by 10 canopy manufactured by Wilton. Is that fair? Yes. And then the fourth product listed, which was retailing at $325, is a 10 by 10 canopy with lights. Do you see where I am? Yes. Do you understand? That is manufactured and sold by Wilton? I do now. Okay, so at least as of May 2001, Writer North was aware of the products sold by Wilton. Is that fair? Based on this email, yeah. Why don't we take a short break? How long? 10 minutes. Fair enough. That's fine. Let's go off the record. Back on the record. Steve, before we took our break, we were talking about, among other things, deposition exhibits 12 and 13, which are the patents, 2 out of the 3 patents, which listed Richard Ryan and Ron Kang as the inventors. Correct. And if we covered this before, I apologize. Are either of them still, well, let me just do it this way. Is Mr. Ryan still an employee of Writer North US? No. And is Mr. Kang an employee of Writer North China? No. Now, we had also talked about Deposition Exhibit 14, which is the email from May of 1999, which identified a couple of products produced by Wilton. Is that a fair statement?
I'm doing something called stenography, which is when you use a shorthand system to take down dictation. I'm currently writing to some real trial testimony that this instructor is reading out loud. I'm not keeping up. It's at 160 words per minute.
Yes. Do you know whether, in developing the products at issue in this case, anybody at Writer North used as a model a Wilton product? I don't personally know. Who would know? I'm not sure. Would there be anybody at Writer North US who would have such knowledge? Not that I can recall. How about at Writer North China? I'm not sure. How about at Writer North Limited? I'm not sure. Did you make any inquiries in preparation for this deposition to try to determine the answer to that question? No, I don't believe I did. And would you agree with me that during the development of the Writer North products that are at issue in this case, employees at Writer North US were involved in that development? I can't tell if anybody was on the US side was involved in the development of the product. And are you saying you can't tell just based solely on Deposition Exhibit 4 or more generally? Well, specifically on 14, I can't tell whose, if anybody's, responsible for development of the product.
Oh my God.
Okay, and my question then is a more general one. Do you know whether generally, let me back up, do you know as a general matter whether anybody at Writer North US was involved in the development of the Writer North products that are at issue in this case? No, I don't personally know. And you understand that you are the representative designated to testify on behalf of Writer North US here today? Correct. And in that capacity, you also don't know. Is that correct? Repeat the question. In your capacity as the designated representative on behalf of Writer North, to testify here today, you don't know whether anybody at Writer North US was involved in the design and or manufacture of the products that are at issue in this case? Well, objection, compound question. You can go ahead and answer.
How are we doing today? I'm doing pretty okay. I was seriously so bored the entire day waiting for this stream.
As far as I know, design is done overseas, so I don't know who has been responsible
How are you doing?
For design in the US. So you just don't know if anybody was? No, I can't recall.
I'm so far behind. Not doing good. Train sitter before saying hi. Oh, okay, you're a train sitter.
Let's do some practice now from our other transcript.
I'm trying to manage the audio. Let me know if you need anything. Okay, thank you. I don't want her to be too loud that she overpowers my voice, because usually that's what happens.
All right, ready?
Plaintiff again.
Will make a relevance objection. Okay, well, I think that generally it's understood that a 48...
Yeah. Bit loud. Trying to balance the audio with the music too. I need her to be loud enough that she's over the music, but I also need her to not be too loud that she overpowers my voice. I had to increase her volume a little bit, but let me decrease it.
License has some value for some, and maybe more value than other types of licenses. However, it is not really relevant what that value might be as far as an exact dollar, so I am going to sustain the objection, indicating that it's not relevant to the issues to be determined here. All right, so the respondent rests. Yes. Did the department have anything other than closing at this time? No, I think we're ready for closing. All right, I'll hear the department's closing then. Thank you, Your Honor. For this matter, I know it's been a little bit of a long day, but we contend to you that the counts in the accusation have been sustained, and that, as Mr. Crane already alluded, the appropriate resolution of this matter is that the license be revoked. I know the court has taken its own notes, but just to kind of highlight things that we have here, what we have here is, an investigation that took, let's say, from May 29 of 2004, and it ends in November, so 6 months. And as you recall, in one of those, there was about a month break between the visits, and on some of the instances, in contrast to a month's break, the investigator went 2 times on the same day. And basically for each of those visits, as they've come into the totality, Investigator Jones was able to purchase cocaine in one form or another from various people in the premises, not only from Linda Conroy, as he did on 3 occasions, but he was also able to purchase from other people, namely Ron Diaz, and I believe that there was Juan Castillo. That's right, he didn't sell as many, and that's all of these transactions are happening. Now, some happened in the men's room, but others happened in plain sight, and in plain sight of several of the bartenders, and this also occurs in the context of where there's ongoing discussion, maybe not in the beginning transaction, but as Mr. Jones discussed with various of the bartenders. I want to buy something. Can you hook me up? Can you help me? And in some instances, they were able to just make the connection for him and sell it to him directly, as Ms. Conroy did, or were there when these transactions occur. And I think that in this instance, and especially because it involves all these, it's not just one person who's doing this. This is like a whole combination of events, and including, several of the bartenders openly discussing their own narcotics use, transactions right in front of them, and they participated in them themselves, and it goes over such a long period of time. This is not a one-time situation at the premises. Basically what we have in defense is Mr. Kang, who's testified about his own personal health issues, but look, as it turns out, he basically said they don't really impede my management ability. I'm sure his medical conditions are of concern, but they didn't interfere with his management capacity, his overall management capacity of the premises. He was still able to visit the premises. Maybe he couldn't stay to the very end, till 2 a.m., but his medical conditions didn't otherwise interfere. He mentioned he has trouble getting around with his knees, but that occurred a few months ago, so that was not in play when all of these events were happening. He was only spotted once on one occasion by Investigator Jones, who was there these many times.
And that's it. It's already been 10 minutes in the stream. Okay, I'm gonna do the test now. And then I'll kind of just sit around and wait for the raid train to come through.
This is a 160 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff Attorney Mr. Rios, capital R-I-O-S. Defense Attorney Ms. MS period West, capital W-E-S-T. And we start with the plaintiff. Ready? All right, and could you point that out? Right behind this palette right here, they were up against it. Would you just take a pen and put a P for T-P, P for palettes, okay? And you can't recall, I take it, when you first pulled up that there may have been more palettes that you unloaded. You just can't remember. Is that true? That's true. All right, the ones that you were unloading when the incident occurred, though, they were up next to and against this set of yellow materials. Misstates his prior testimony. Correct. Okay, well, I'm just looking at where he placed the P. Can I clarify here, were the pallets you were unloading, were they touching the yellow pallets, or was there a space between the pallets? Very close. I mean, they were up right behind them. All right, and the pallets that you were picking up with your forklift and that are shown over in Exhibit 1 after the accident, were these side by side on the trailer? In other words, if you were looking at the trailer, you'd just see a pallet where you placed the P and another one immediately as we're looking at the photograph behind it. Behind it? Yes. All right, and what you're saying is because of the positioning of the pallets, you could take your forks as you're operating the forklift and put the forks under both pallets? Correct. All right, how far was the pallet closest to you positioned on the trailer away from the edge of the trailer? In other words, if you're standing up next to the trailer, what was the distance between the edge of the trailer and the edge of the first pallet? May call for speculation. You can answer the question. You can answer the question. I'm going to say 6 inches. So these two pallets were not positioned in the center of the trailer. May call for speculation. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't on the other side. I never got up on the trailer. I'm going to say not, because of the side of them, not quite to the center. Do you have an estimate as to how wide the trailer bed was? I'm not really familiar with that thought. Okay, maybe 8 feet. Guess. Don't guess. We don't want you to guess. Don't want a guess. But the trailer was there. We can see in the photograph you were there. And if you remember looking at the trailer bed and have an estimate as to how wide it is, I want your best estimate, but I don't want you to guess. I don't know. All right, to the In looking at the photograph, it appears toward the front of the trailer there is a consistent load of some material. It looks like maybe bags of cement or rocks, I believe, is what the driver said. Do you see what I'm talking about there?
Queen 5409 just redeemed Hydrate.
Thanks for redeeming Hydrate. Trying to keep up is thirsty work. It's also very, very difficult. I know most of these words, but I hesitate to write them all the time. So I fall behind. And it really gets you. Once you're like behind by like a few words, suddenly you're behind like a sentence. Then you have to drop the entire sentence and move on to what's actually being said. One day I'll make it to 160, but it's not today. I'm still at 120. 120 at heart.
Yes, I do. Okay, the palettes that material is on, do you see those palettes? Yes. Okay, are those fairly standard size palettes? Yes. In looking at the photograph, can you estimate what the dimensions of those palettes are? May call for speculation. I know what a palette is. A normal palette. What is a normal palette? Approximately anyway, I'm going to say about 40 inches wide by maybe 48 inches long. And when you're looking at this palette that's on the truck, would the length be going across the trailer? No. Okay, so the length, these are not square palettes then normally? No. Okay, alright, when you strike that, prior to pulling in and putting your forks under the two pallets, you were offloading at the time of the accident. Did you have to reposition the forks because of the, yes, let me finish the question, excuse me, because the pallets were smaller? Yes, I had to bring them closer together. Okay, and did you do that yourself? Yes. How close did you move the forks together in order to pick up these two pallets? You want inches? I don't know if you pushed them all the way together, but yes, if they were separated, I want to know what the gap was between the two forks. I'm going to estimate about 8 inches. I brought them in where they would just fit inside the pallets that I was lifting off. Okay, as you were driving in and putting the forks under these two pallets, were you directly in front of the trailer? In other words, were you driving straight at the trailer? Correct. Alright, and where was the driver at the time you were doing that? On the opposite side of the trailer. Alright, and what was he doing over there? Guiding me in, letting me know when the fork is completely through and I was under the pallets correctly. Alright, did he signal you in some way when he saw that the forks were completely under the pallets? He told me we're good, we're all the way through. Alright, and did he tell you how far the tips of the pallets stuck beyond the outside pallet? Not that I recall. Okay, did you have any idea at the time you first picked up the load off the trailer bed how far the tips stuck out from the other side of the far pallet? It would be a guess. Okay, so you had no idea at the time you picked up the load how far the tips stuck out. I can estimate. That's what I want you to do. My estimate was I was up against the bed of the truck. I have knowledge of how long the forks are. I know how big the pallets are. My estimate would be probably about 8 to 12 inches beyond the pallet. Did you ever actually ask the driver how far the tips, no, stuck out? Okay, once you got the forks under the pallets, I think your testimony was the forklift base there at the base of the forks. Is there a plate there on the forklift? I don't understand. Okay, you have the tips of the forks and all the way to the base of the forks. Okay, is there some type of a plate at the base of the forks? Vague and ambiguous. Yes, the way the forks are made, They're made in an L shape and they attach to the forklift. All right, and you understand what I'm talking about when I'm referring to the base of the forks. I think so. And there's some type of L that goes up. Yes.
I did it! The test is over. Let me move this to the next class, which is number 10. And I'll just bookmark it for later. Grade should be coming in soon, so I'll just sit here and wait. So how's everyone doing? Me, I'm personally doing okay. I'm disappointed that I was having so much trouble with the 160 today. Sometimes the material is easy enough that I can keep up like half the time, but most of the time the material is just too tough for me. Especially if it's like itty bitty words, because like those one syllable words really kill you. Hello, Flowery. How are you doing today? I'm currently waiting for a raid to come in. Should be any minute now. Let me look at the word encourage. Okay, where is it? Where is my lookup? Right here. Encourage. That word gets me a lot. I spell it wrong all the time. Encourage. Okay, I can write it as that or that. So, I do have polls. They're on Tiltify for which dictation I should try next. That would be the entire class. So it would take me about 50 minutes or so to complete it. And I'm going to be streaming for the Rainbow Beacon 3 times this month. Yes, the next person in line for the raid train is Cozy Armory. Tiltify just logged me out. I gotta log back in. It's tough. I have to monitor both the TikTok chat and the donations that come in because the Tiltify alert system doesn't always notify me. The ad break should start in 30 minutes. Hey, it's 10:01. That rate should be coming in any second now. This drill is gonna be tough. This instructor, when she does her drills, they tend to be really tough. Even at 140. Oh, there's the raid!
Lemon Ollie just rated with 53 viewers.
Hello, everybody! Thank you, Lemon Ollie, for coming in with the raid. How is everyone doing today? Hope everyone's doing fine. And even better, good. So for my part of this raid train, we're gonna be doing stenography. Stenography is when you use a shorthand system to take down dictation. It's what they use for court reporting and live captioning. I'm currently learning stenography, and I like to, on Thursdays, practice live. And today happens to be my birthday, too. So I took this spot just because Thursdays I normally do stenography, so it's perfect. Hello Mo, hello Marzaplan, hello Black Rose Pixie, hello Sparkly Sav, hello Emma Doodles, hello Typhoric, hello Stephalax, hello Starry Ari, hello Jasmine Can Play, hello Lily Lee, Boney Bear, Boogie Egg, Popular Think. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for the happy birthday wishes. So my incentives, I have 5 of them. They should be exclamation point incentives. For $10, I Steno a complex word of your choosing. Oh, that's supposed to say 20. For $20, I add something permanently to my dictionary. For $30, I write a monologue, part of a video, a text, etc. in Steno. For $40, I Steno without looking at the output for 5 minutes, which can really screw you over. And for $50, I create a custom Steno gift for you. So you just let me know where to send the gift to, and I'll make it for you and then send it. So those are my incentives. And along with that, we have polls for which dictation practice I should do next. I currently have the 140 page up. This would be class number 20. So if anyone wants to donate right now and redeem any of those rewards, we could start the stream up. But if that doesn't happen, we'll just do the dictation drills and stuff. So I'll start with this and then wait for someone to donate.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 140 drill class. We're going to start off with some sentences that have numbers in them.
He seems a little low. Let me put the volume up a little bit, maybe 2.
Ready? The bill was $34 and something, I don't remember. The contents of the purse included a $100 bill and several $5 bills. Did you say $8,500 or $9,500? The suspect was carrying a brown bag which contained a stack of 20s and a stack of 50s. We originally planned...
Okay, we have 1 donation so far. What word do you want me to Steno? Give me any word and I'll try my best. I'll have to build it. It helps me to learn how to write new words in my dictionary. Because you never know what pops up in court and stuff. I want to become a live captioner, so that takes... What about cheesecake? Cheesecake. Let's see. That would be... So for that... Cheese, and then... Forget which, what I press. That is F... E... I believe that's FP. So, we can do this phonetically. I use a theory called Phoenix theory, which is mostly phonetic. So, you build words based on how they sound, instead of orthography, which is when you use the way words are spelled instead. So for this one, we have the K, because there is no C on the left side of the keyboard. There's only a K. So it's the K sound. Then you have H, of course, so it's ch. And then over here, the AOE. This is the long E sound. Then you have the Z for the cheese. Z. And then this is to get rid of the space between the two words. And then you have AEU, which is the long A sound. So A. BG, that's how you write ick. On the right side of the keyboard, it's a BG for the K sound. So that's how you write cheesecake. Stenography is really cool. I love it. I think that more people should try it out. And I think that if a lot more people were exposed to it and tried it out and found out they loved it, that accessibility would increase for a lot of people. Because unfortunately, since this is so niche, there aren't a lot of court reporters or captioners out there, especially live captioning, which is really, really, really tough. The certification test for the live captioning is one of the toughest tests that is supplied by the National Court Reporters Association. For that test, you have to write 180 words per minute, which you would think would be a lot easier than the other tests, which require 180, 200, and 225. But 180, you gotta write for 5 minutes straight, and the thing is that you don't get to edit your transcript afterwards. So what you write is exactly what gets submitted for what's the word? Submitted for, God, ADHD, you know. I forget words all the time. Grading, that's it. The word was grading. You feel like your audio processing issues would make you bad at this, but you still kind of want to learn? It's, I also have audio processing issues because of the ADHD. It is a little tougher then, but because you practice, you're supposed to practice all the time. They recommend around 2 to 3 hours per day of practice. What happens is you build muscle memory, and when you build that muscle memory, you hesitate less, and you're able to just write everything that you hear exactly as you hear it. It is tougher when you have audio processing issues, but it's not insurmountable. There are plenty of people with ADHD and autism who are live captioners and court reporters themselves. It becomes kind of like a special interest at that point, because you're doing it all the time, and it becomes one of the most important things in your life at some point. At least it is for me. Okay. Once we get another donation in, I will show y'all how to write, you know, a paragraph of text, something from a video, a complex word, things like that. I'm just gonna be doing this drill now. Feel free to interrupt me for questions and stuff.
To give him a brand new $100 bill for his birthday. Does that figure on the receipt say $36.18? I guess I gave him $44.15 or something near that amount. First, he handed me a $1 bill. Then he changed his mind and gave me a 10. I really don't think he meant to hand me the 50 instead of the 20. Dan paid the bill without even noticing that it said $117 rather than $17. Is that bill a 5 or a 10? There were 2 or 3 pennies in the bottom of the purse. Right. I'm going to give you some 140 briefs.
Great.
And then I'm going to go over them.
Briefs are shortenings that you use to write words and phrases and stuff. I have a lot of briefs that I use in order to format text as well. So if I were to use my number bar, which is a really long key at the top of my Steno machine, and I hit this one, it gets you that. But if I also hit all the keys on the left side, it formats it to a byline, which is what this is called, a byline for a transcript. So it says by mixed plaintiff lawyer, and then it has the Q, and then it has the spaces, and it automatically capitalizes the next word. That's what briefs are used for.
And then I'm going to drill you, okay? So we have I didn't. All of these phrases that have I didn't start with YI, okay? I didn't believe, YIBL. I didn't do, YID. I didn't feel, YIFL. I didn't get, YIGT. I didn't go, YIG. I didn't know, YIN. I didn't mean, YIM. I didn't say, YIS. I didn't see, YIZ. I didn't understand, YINDZ. I didn't mean to, YIMT. I didn't mean to say, YIMTS.
Whoa, that's an entire brief I didn't mean to say. KWREUPLTS. I didn't mean to say. That must come up a lot. I haven't heard anyone say that before yet. I've done like 300 of these videos. No, it's gotta be more than that. But in all of those videos with the real court transcripts that they read from, I haven't heard anyone say I didn't mean to say yet. So it's funny that that's a brief.
Okay, so now I'm going to go through and drill you on those. Ready? And then if it's just I didn't, it's just YI. Okay? I didn't. I didn't believe. I didn't do. I didn't feel. I didn't get.
Have I seen you before? Definitely, Al Jamil Lamil. You were in one of my Silk Song streams the other day, and you subscribed.
I didn't go. I didn't know. I didn't mean. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to say. I didn't say. I didn't see. I didn't understand. I didn't go. I didn't. I didn't do.
No, the Scorpio just redeemed Autism Creature.
Thanks for redeeming Autism Creature.
didn't get. I didn't feel. I didn't believe. I didn't know. I didn't mean. I didn't see. I didn't say. I didn't mean to. I didn't understand. I didn't mean to say. So just remember that anything with say is final S, anything with C is final Z. So the same goes with the I don'ts and the I can't phrases. Okay. All right. Moving right into some.
Fluffman, how are you doing? I'm doing fine today. I'm currently fundraising for an important organization. Came in with the raid but lurking. Thank you for lurking, Crate River. Enjoy your lurk. I'm currently doing stenography for charity today. Pretty good, thanks for asking. Awesome. I just learned a new brief. I didn't. I wonder if I'm gonna be able to put that into action.
Names, spellings, and locations of mortgage companies. Ready? Deneen Wire, W-I-E-R, Loan Depot. Wendy Wilcox,
Guess what I bought yesterday? What'd you buy?
W-I-L-C-O-X, First Choice Loan Services. Chris Wilhelm, W-I-L-H-E-L-M, Gateway Mortgage Group. Troy Williamson, W-I-L-L-I-A-M-S-O-N.
You bought Cult of the Lamb? Awesome. I need to buy that at one point. I really want to play it. Especially because of the functionality on Twitch. You get to have audience participation, which I think is really, really cool.
On Q Financial. Brian Williams, W-I-L-L-I-A-M-S.
Want to be part of my
Fairway
cult? Oh, yeah.
Independent Mortgage. Benjamin Wilson, W-I-L-S-O-N, Prime Lending. Scott Wimmer, W-I-M-M-E-R, Prosperity Home Mortgage. Andrea Wine, W-I-N-E, McLean Mortgage.
What animal and color? If they have sheep in purple, that'd be pretty cool.
Robert Winston, W-I-N-S-T-O-N, Caliber Home Loans. Kimberly Winters, W-I-N-T-E-R-S, Movement Mortgage. Paul Werfel, W-I-R-F-E.
If not sheep, with animal? Cat, maybe? If they have a cat.
L, RPM Mortgage. Leslie Wish, W-I-S-H, Bay Equity Home Loans. Lawrence Wisher, W-I-S-H-E-R, Caliber Home Loans. Robert Wishnick, W-I-S-H-N-I-C-K, Guaranteed Rate. Sean Woland, W-O-H-L-A-N-D, New American Funding. Robert Wolf Jr., W-O-L-F-E, Prime Lending. Linda Wolfenson, W-O-L-F-E-N-S-O-N, Loan Depot. Brian Wally, W-O-L-L-E-Y, Homebridge Financial Services. And the last one is Dean Wong, W-O-N-G, RPM Mortgage.
Okay, that was name,
Moving
spelling,
into
and mortgage companies.
some Legal briefs. So I will give you the brief and then give you the sentences.
Legal briefs. That's good.
All right. So the first one we have is beyond a reasonable doubt. So you have a choice there. You can either write it as W final RD, or you can write it as yard, W-A-R-D. That's the way I write it. And then if you ever get the word yard, you just have to flag it. Okay, so beyond a reasonable doubt. Burden, B-U-R-D. Burden of proof. Again, you have two ways to write that. Either B final RP or B-U-R-P. And if you write it as burp, then you would have to flag the word burp if it came up. Okay, all right, here are your sentences. You must agree on this point beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt, they proved their charges. The attorney proved his case beyond a reasonable doubt. The plaintiff must prove his case beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay, moving to burden, B-U-R-D. He carries a heavy burden at all times. It is the burden of the plaintiff to prove his contentions. It is a heavy burden that you carry. It is a tremendous burden. He can't deal with the burdens of the office. John is burdened with family problems. It is burdening him to handle the questions. What burdens does she have to bear? And then the last one is burden of proof. The plaintiff has the burden of proof in this case. The burden of proof rests with the plaintiff. Who has the burden of proof? Counsel must present the burden of proof.
So what I'm doing is stenography.
Right. I really like those. They help out a lot. Okay, so my last drill are sentences using dollar amounts, time figures, series of nouns, etc. Ready? The foreclosure notice indicated the house has the following liens against it. A $45,000 loan payable to First Title Company and a $100,000 loan payable to the County Trust Company. We studied the prop.
Hi, Jonas. Thank you for the lurk. Good morning or afternoon, friends. Don't forget that you're doing the best you can each and every day. You're perfect the way you are, and don't change a thing about yourself for anyone. Thank you for those words, Clothman.
Propagation of the following plants: morning glories, roses, and geraniums. You should consider two of the problems: more parking and security guards. Do you leave home at 4 p.m. or 9:30 a.m.? The proposal is this expansion of store hours from 9 in the morning to 10 in the evening. My teachers are Miss Collier, Miss Hart, and Mr. Schubert. All of the bills were counterfeit, the 20s, the 10s, and the 5s. The vacated offices consist of Suite 210, Suite 809, and Suite 1035. My belief is this number 1 was in the building after 11 p.m. Please consider her idea to sell candy at the football game for $1 each. Did the clock say 10:30 or 10:45?
Hi, Patrick.
The crime was reported at 8:30 this morning. Walter wanted to send copies to All Star Industries,
Hello, DS Grack 3.
Mapleton Builders, and the Disney Corporation. Joel considered subscribing to several periodicals such as Amid Kingdom, Electronics Quarterly, and Mechanics Digest.
Okay, that's it for the drill for 140. I do have incentives. Let me do exclamation point incentive again. Hello, artist from Canada. How are you doing? What's up? The second one is supposed to say 20. Actually, let me fix that. While I'm pausing, let me make sure that I fix that. Okay. It won't pop up as 10 anymore. It'll be 20.
Right.
So that's it for the drill. Next we have what's called the jury charge and literary portion. Jury charge is the judge's instructions to the jury. And literary is just text from whenever, you know. It can be books, it can be the newspaper, it could be a transcript from like a video or something. Just as long as it is not jury charged. Both of them are separate. For the live captioning certification, it's 180 literary, which can be anything. That's what makes it so tough. And for the regular certification, it's split up between jury charge, literary, and Q&A, which is testimony. You can have a lot of people in testimony, and for the RPR, I think that's the certification. That's the second one. Registered something reporter. You have to do Q&A at 225. But you get to edit your transcript afterwards, which is a lot easier than the live captioning certification. I am really, really bad at Q&A.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Literary and Jury Charge for the 140 class. We're going to start out with some challenging material on property. Okay, here we go, ready? Property is the right and interest which one has in anything that is subject to ownership. Property may be tangible or intangible, visible or invisible, movable or immovable. Any person possessing property normally has the right to possess, use, enjoy, and dispose of it.
I don't know how to write possessing. Hold up. Pose? Why is... Sometimes the dictionary, it surprises me. Why is possessing not the same as possession? Ah, okay. You know what? I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna change that. Where is my dictionary? Let me get out my words, not phrases or briefs dictionary. You cannot see. Looks like it's behind the notepad. Yeah, so this is how my dictionary looks. This is in Plover, which is a free stenography software. May you give me a compliment? Sure, go ahead. Let me mess around with possessing. Possess? Possessing. Possess. I know, I love that your campaign page on Tiltify is in dark mode. Everything I own I set to dark mode. Yeah. Thank you, Clothman, for the compliment. I appreciate that. Okay, let me bring up the notepad again. Assessing.
A right to property is not always exclusive, but may be held by more than one person. Property is classified in terms of the nature of the property interest as real or personal. Real property is normally land and all things affixed to it. Generally, real property is tangible, immovable, and visible. Real property may include land, houses, trees, and buildings. Personal property is generally defined as movables. Personal property is sometimes defined as all things that are not classified as real property. Personal property may include the following items: clothing, automobiles, jewelry, furniture, and appliances. Intangible property includes goodwill, aesthetic value, and in some cases, works of art and music. In most instances, intangible value is subjective value.
Okay.
I have some jury charge for you. The subject is general jury charge.
Jury charge.
Here we go. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the written instructions now being given will be made available to the jury room during your deliberations. They must not be defaced in any way. Some of the instructions may be changed with writing or handwriting. Blanks in the printed instructions may be filled in by actual handwriting. Also, portions of the instructions may have been deleted by lining out. You are not to be concerned with the reasons for any changes that have been made. Also, you must disregard any deleted part of an instruction and not speculate either what it was or what is the reason for its deletion. Every part of an instruction is of equal importance. You are to be governed only by the instruction in its final form. If in these instructions any rule, direction, or idea be stated in varying ways, no emphasis thereon is intended by me, and none must be inferred by you. For that reason, you are not to single out any certain sentence or any individual point or instruction and ignore the others, but you are to consider all the instructions as a whole and are to regard each in the light of all the others. The court has endeavored to give you instructions embodying all rules of law that may become necessary in guiding you to a just and lawful verdict. The applicability of some instructions will depend upon the conclusions you reach as to the facts. As to any such instruction, the fact that it has been given must not be taken as indicating an opinion of the court that it will be necessary or as to what the facts are. If an instruction applies only to a state of facts which you find does not exist, you will disregard the instruction.
Thank you for the lurk, Mo.
Okay.
Let me look up Endeavor. Also, ad break will be starting soon. That's when I take a break. Endeavor. Okay.
Okay. I have an article here. This is called A Judge Who Lets Them Go.
Judge who lets them go?
Okay, here we go. And it says here, does he have a soft heart or a soft head? Ready? Judge Lawrence seems to have a soft spot for people who commit nasty or stupid acts while under the influence of booze. Last February, the Chicago judge heard the case of Michael Coella, 28, a muscular thug who had mauled a female police officer when she stopped him for going the wrong way on a one-way street.
Okay, we're going into an ad break, so I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, everyone. Hear more about this Judge Lawrence.
Who had mauled a female police officer when she stopped him for going the wrong way on a one-way street. She later needed the services of a plastic surgeon. Coella's lawyer came up with a novel explanation for why his client had disfigured the lady's face with his fists and a metal bar. His defense, a tattooed stranger in a bar may have slipped a mysterious chemical into his drink. As a believable excuse, it ranked with the classic, "The devil made me do it." Coella was no stranger to police or trouble. In fact, he has achieved quite a history as a brawler and head basher. There was a time, according to the Norridge police, when Coella didn't like the way a guy on the street looked at his date. So he did a little punching and stomping. A judge then put him under court supervision. The River Forest Police know him too. He was in a restaurant when another diner did something to offend him. So Coella proceeded to bash the customer. When the police arrived, he wrestled with them and threatened to kill one of the officers. Coella was charged with assault and resisting arrest. The case was still pending when this article was written. Down the road, in Schiller Park, they also know Coella. He once got angry at a motel keeper because his car was damaged in the motel parking lot. The police say he didn't hit the man. He merely promised to kill him and blow up the motel. Because the motel keeper did not press his assault case, the charges were dropped. Judge Lawrence did not have any of the details of Coella's record before him, but the judge did have Coella's amazing defense that a mind-altering substance may have turned him into a raging beast, causing him to smash a policewoman in the face with a metal bar. So what did the judge do? Without a word of explanation, he found Coella not guilty. Now, I have come across another example of Judge Lawrence's kindness. Let us jump back to the night of January 2nd, 2004, when John Morrison, 62, of Palos Heights, was driving his car on Chicago's South Side. His wife, Ella, was sitting next to him. Suddenly, a car veered across 4 lanes of a 6-lane street and slammed head-on into Morrison's car. Ella died instantly of massive brain damage. John had head and chest injuries and a broken arm, but he lived. The driver of the other car, James Veravik, 32, was only slightly injured, but a blood test showed that he was drunk. A trial was held, and Judge George Lawrence found him guilty of reckless homicide. All things considered, Veravik got a light sentence. He couldn't drive a car for 2 years, and he'd have to spend 60 weekends in the county jail. That way, he could continue to work at his job. If you add it up, 60 weekends comes to about 4 months in jail. Not too harsh a punishment for getting drunk and killing someone. But not long ago, Veravik and a lawyer filed a motion to have his sentence reduced. He had spent 45 weekends in jail and asked that the last 15 weekends be scratched. The motion was assigned to Judge Lawrence. The assistant state attorney promptly objected to Judge Lawrence's hearing the motion, since he hadn't handled the original trial. But Judge Lawrence said, "I have jurisdiction and I'll entertain it." Then the assistant state's attorney said he wasn't prepared for a hearing. He wanted time to gather and present the evidence from the original trial, which he hadn't been involved in. Lawrence turned him down on that too. So the assistant state attorney asked for a delay in order that somebody from the dead woman's family, such as her daughter, could be present. To that, Judge Lawrence said, I don't know that anybody has any standing or any proper place in a hearing of this nature at this point. Not being a lawyer, I don't know if the judge was correct, but even if he was, simple courtesy would allow for somebody from the family of Ellen Morrison to be in court when the man who killed her requests that his already soft sentence be made even softer. The family has no standing. If anybody has any standing, it ought to be the man whose wife was so violently taken from him, or their daughter and only child. If nothing else, somebody from the family should at least have the privilege of sitting in the courtroom and giving dirty looks to the drunken driver. But Judge Lawrence didn't think their presence was necessary, nor was any evidence from the original trial necessary, not even a review of the transcript of the trial. In walks a guy who says he doesn't want to spend any more weekends in jail, and that's enough for Judge Lawrence. At the end of a hearing that lasted only minutes, Judge Lawrence said, the petition to modify the defendant's sentence is allowed. I said that the judge appears to have a soft spot in his heart for people who do stupid or nasty things when they get drunk. I should change that. The soft spot appears to be in his head.
Okay. Hello, Patrick. Hello, Clockman. And thank you, Mo, for the alert. Sorry, that took a lot longer than I thought it would. We have 7 more minutes left, and in this video. That was an interesting article about that judge.
Okay, interesting. Right. I'm going to read some closing statements.
Let me do an exclamation point incentives again. What did the article say? That this judge, he likes to give like really easy sentences to people who do ridiculous things, harmful and dangerous things when they're drunk. That this journalist noticed just a pattern of behavior from a judge. Very strange.
Okay. Here we go. On the 8th, those 3 critical discoveries that we talked about, that is, the Toyota key being found in Brian Stowe's bedroom. The SUV plates are found at that time, and the burn area is discovered, which, contains those human remains. The 9th becomes a very important day as well. This is the day that Brian Stowe is arrested. Brian Stowe is arrested for a weapons charge. On the 9th, he is then interviewed. But what you will also hear about the contact on the 9th is that the officers take some photographs. They do a physical examination of Brian Stowe, and they find a cut on him that you will see in just a few minutes. On the 10th, the burn area is further examined. On the key itself, on the key that was found in Brian's bedroom, they find his DNA. We will talk about that in a little bit further. On the 11th, the victim's blood, that is the female blood from within the SUV. Remember the big pool or the big stains in the cargo area in Sabrina's SUV? Well, those now match a soda can that Sabrina had up in the front of the vehicle. It's then presumed that to be of Sabrina Helms. So those are the first 8 days or so of the investigation and what you need to know. Again, that's probably, 2.5 or 3 weeks, or could be, of testimony that, in this case, we are going to try to fit into a layer of evidence. Try to fit into about 2 days, or maybe 2.5 days. So it is going to go quickly, but it is meant to give you a flavor of the size of this case, the scope of this case, and also to the credit not only of the Helm family and to the memory of Sabrina, but you need to hear it. You need to hear the whole story of the investigation. We talked about the development, the DNA matches that Ms. Calhoun developed at the crime lab. You're going to hear that Sabrina's blood later positively was identified to a standard area in the cargo area.
It still says Judge Lawrence.
Hey.
It's not Judge Lawrence anymore.
I'm going to read to you from The Evolution of Monstrosity. And again, I like...
I'm going to skip this because it has to do with serial killers, and I feel like that's not good for the stream. So I'm going to move on to the Q&A. I'll do that jury charge and literary portion again another day, off stream.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 140 Q&A. We're going to start off with defense questioning. Ready?
Put that down to 2.
Dr. Catone.
Defense questioning.
When a general practitioner or some other referring doctor who is not in your specialty refers a case to you, is there a certain relatively standard responsibility that is maintained between the referring physician and the specialist? Yes. The specialist assumes those duties that would fall within his specialty, generally speaking. Is that correct? Yes. And the referring physician may or may not follow the patient? Yes. If he follows the patient to a certain extent, there would be some teamwork between them. Is that correct? Correct. For example, the specialist might rely upon the referring physician to advise him of any unusual complications? Right. But as far as making the decisions on matters which fall within the specialty, that responsibility would be assumed by the specialist usually. Is that correct? Yes. Now, as far as this particular case is concerned, you assumed the responsibility of making the decision to perform the operation? Correct. And you made the decision to determine which of the diagnostic procedures would be done first, second, third, and so forth. Is that correct? Yes. You assumed the responsibility of ordering that patient's diet as it might be related to the procedure? Correct. And you assumed the responsibility of a diagnosis of any mediastinitis. Is that correct? Yes. You assumed responsibility of diagnosing any perforations? Yes. You assumed the responsibility for ordering such additional x-rays or treatment which you felt necessary? Yes. And this would be true irrespective of who actually wrote the order sheet? Yes. You did rely upon Dr. Horner to advise you of any unusual complications that you felt you should know about. Is that correct? That is correct. And he did that? Yes. And you and Dr. Horner consulted frequently as far as this patient was concerned? Yes. Now, have you read the report of Dr. Horner? Yes, I have read it. When did you first read that report, doctor? Probably it was in May or June of this year. Did you agree with it as of the first time that you read it? Yes, I agreed with it. Now, in that report, he indicates, does he not, that it is possible that it will be necessary to have further surgery? Yes. Was it your recommendation that the further surgery be done? Not originally. Was it ever, at any time, your recommendation?
Yeah, I'm Gen Z.
That a further surgery be performed? After reading Dr. Horner's report in May or June, and after getting the results of the further tests that we performed, I recommended additional surgery, yes. Did you make any kind of a written report in which you concurred in the need for additional surgery? I don't remember whether I made out any kind of report. I know that I talked to Dr. Horner. Did you talk to him in person or on the telephone? Probably both. I know I discussed it on the telephone, and we probably talked about it when we were at the hospital. He did indicate to me that there was an urgency regarding the successive surgery. Okay, switch transcripts.
Your parents got a divorce? Okay. Sorry about that.
The court would like to see those as soon as they're available. We'll take a recess until this witness arrives, which means, ladies and gentlemen, that the court will admonish you not to discuss the case, not to permit anyone to discuss it with you, and not to form any opinion about the case until it's finally submitted to you. Thank you. Mr. Bryan? Thank you, Your Honor. People would call Mrs. Rodriguez. Take the stand, please. State your full name. Spell your last. Annie R. Rodriguez. Mrs. Rodriguez, you're going to have to make sure your voice is loud enough so all the jurors can hear you. If you will sit close to the microphone, it will work better. Slide right up to the microphone and bend it. I want you to speak to me in the same tone of voice I speak to you, okay? Okay. Do you recognize the defendant that is seated at the end of the counsel table? Yes. Directing your attention to on or about April the 5th of 2011, a couple of years ago. Yes. Did you see this defendant someplace in the city of Santa Ana? Yes. Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury where you were when you met the defendant for the first time. On First and Main. What time of the day or night was it on the 5th of April? It was around 2 or 2:30 in the morning. What happened that brought you and the defendant together? Well, my car stopped and he asked me if he could help me. Were you alone in the car? Yes. And did the defendant approach you on foot or in another car? In another car. Where had you been prior to the time that your automobile stopped At this early AM hour, I had gone to a dance. Were you en route home? Were you headed home at that time? Yes. Did you have children at that time? Yes. How many? 6. What did the defendant say to you when he offered to help you fix the car? Well, he said my car wouldn't be able to start, you know. And I told him if he could give me a push. He said no. You asked him if he could give you a push? Yes, when he asked if he could help me, and he said no, that he would give me a ride home. Did he offer to give you a ride home? Yes. And what did you say? I told him no, that I wanted him to give me a push, and he said no, that he would take me home, and I said, all right. You're going to have to speak very loudly, Mrs. Rodriguez, so everyone in the courtroom can hear you. Did he offer to give you a ride home in his car? Yes. Did you finally agree to ride home? Yes. Now, before you got into his car, were you able to get your car started? No. All right. Now, what happened after you got into the defendant's car? Well, he drove around for a while and he wouldn't let me get out of the car. Did you tell the defendant where to drive you to take you home? Yes. Did he follow your directions? No. He started to drive down First Street and then, I don't know. Finally, he just took me around where I live, you know, but he wouldn't let me get out of the car. Did you try a time or two to get out of the car? Yes. What did the defendant finally do while you were still a passenger in his car? Well, he took me down to Oak Street and he stopped in front of a vacant lot and he put a knife on me on my neck. Did you see the knife? Yes. Did you feel the knife touch your skin? Yes. When the defendant stopped near this vacant lot, was there any street lights or anything? Any lights that made the area light up? No, not too close to where we were.
Yeah, this transcript is turning into something else. So I'm just gonna move on to the test. Let's keep this stream PG instead of PG-13. Oh, not loading. Come on, load the test. There. Okay, hopefully this won't be violent either.
Hello everyone, this is a 140 Q&A test. Plaintiff attorney is Mr. Uven, U-V-E-N. Defense is Mr. Garner, G-A-R-N-E-R. Again, plaintiff Mr. Uven, U-V-E-N. Defense Mr. Garner, G-A-R-N-E-R. Okay, and this is going to start with defense attorney. Okay, here we go.
These are dictation
Ready?
videos, Al-Jamil.
Was it like a tens unit type of thing? Yes, it was. Did you fully recover from that accident, or did you have some residual disability? I fully recovered eventually. Did you get any kind of a settlement for that? Yes, I did. And do you remember how much it was for? I think it was around $9,000 or something close to that. Do you remember the name of that attorney? No, I'm sorry, I don't. I can't remember his name. Was he in Pasadena too, or somewhere close by that? No, he wasn't close by me. Do you remember what city he was in? I think it was Los Angeles. He was in LA? Uh-huh, yes, because I remember driving in the traffic when I had to go there. Okay, any other civil suits you've filed for any other injury, car accidents, or anything of that nature? Not that I can remember or think of, no. Okay, great, all right. We can move on then. Now this would be a good time to just real briefly go over your work history. You can start from now and go back, or from maybe out of high school and come forward. Oh boy.
Goldfish?
You want me to go that far back? If you could just briefly go over it generally, that would be great. Let's go for the first one immediately.
You just gave me a flower necklace and Cult of the Lamb? Aw, how cute.
Before the RANCON real estate. Is that okay, Council? Okay, let's start with the RANCON real estate. When did you start working there? I started working there in 2004. Okay, was that a full-time or part-time job? I worked full-time at RANCON. And what was your job title there at RANCON? I was an executive secretary. Okay, and who was your supervisor there?
Oh,
her name is Beth
Pokemon.
Flanders. Okay, Beth Flanders. Do you know how to spell that? I believe it's Flanders. And can you, I guess I'll ask it now, just briefly describe your duties when you started at RANCON. Well, when I started, I was hired as the executive secretary for the agents in sales.
Oh, you're hunting a shiny quillfish. Oh. I was so confused. I was like, why are you saying quillfish in chat? I thought I was missing something.
The executive secretary.
Let me look up secretary. This has come up a few times and I keep forgetting how to write it.
For the agents in sales. But I was also the executive secretary for the other agents in rentals. Do you know what the names of the agents were? Oh no, there were several agents in the office. There was a constant flow.
How do I write agent? Okay, that's how you write it.
Of incoming agents, and others would leave to work for another company. And how long did that last, that you were working for the sales and the rentals? Well, until December 2014. And then you were just doing the sales after that? Well, in 2012, I believe it was 2012, maybe 2013, I also became the board secretary, in addition to those other duties that I mentioned. And then did you keep your other job being the executive secretary for the other two? Yes, I worked in all the three of those areas at the same time or concurrently. Okay, is that up to date to the present date of today? No, as of January 2014, those duties changed. Well, I just work for RANCON Real Estate now. As of January of what year? As of January 2015, yes. Okay, and tell me what your job entails. What exactly do you do on a typical day? Well, at the present time, my duties have changed a lot over the years, so it's hard to explain it. Okay, let's go back then to the time of your injury, around August of 2014 to August of 2015. Around that time, and immediately preceding that, what were your duties? Let's start between August 2014 and August 2015. Is that okay with you, counsel? Okay, all right, that's fine. So August 2014, my primary duties was that of the board secretary. Okay, and what did that entail? Okay, so you want to know what I did? Yeah, describe kind of what you did on a daily basis at your job. Where do I start? It's a lot. Okay, so my duties as a board secretary, I prepared for our board meetings. How did you prepare? I would compile our board reports. So I would print all of the staff reports, compile them into binders. I reviewed the agenda. I reviewed staff reports. I occasionally did staff reports, created staff reports. Okay, how often would that be? The staff reports? When requested. It's hard to say, not that often. Once a month, once a week, once a year, maybe 2 times a year. 2 times a year? I gathered the materials for our board meetings. So once the binders were complete, I'd have to put them into tubs. And once they were in the tubs, I'd have to put them onto a dolly.
Okay, that's the end of that. Thank you for the lurk, Jazz. Those are the incentives again. Okay, I'm gonna move on to class 21. You know what? Maybe I should do the 120. Oh, whoops, whoops, whoops. Let's not open that up. Okay. Next one is 21. Different instructor. Let me do 120. Q&A.
Hello, welcome to the 120 Q&A practice. We're going to start out with plaintiff questioning. Ready? What is your occupation, Mr. Patterson? I occasionally work as a truck driver, sir. All right. Do you know the defendants in this case, Mr. and Mrs. Knight, seated there at the council table? Yes, I do. And when was the first time that you met them? Not knowing the exact date, it was sometime last year, about the latter part of last year. In the fall, sometime last year? Yes. Where do you live, Mr. Patterson? I live in Portland, Oregon. All right. Do you know a Mr. Anthony Winston, also known as Tony? Yes, sir, I do. How long have you known him approximately? About 10 years. All right. Did you have occasion to meet the Knights through Mr. Winston. Yes, I did. I met Mr. Knight through Mr. Winston. All right. Do you recall where the meeting was where you met Mr. Knight?
Oh, I got another donation for $10, but they didn't want any of the incentives, so if you change your mind, just let me know, alright?
Yes, I met Mr. Knight in Eugene on the corner of 8th and Fremont in a car. What was the occasion for the meeting? Well, after we went to a beer bar, shortly after we met, we went to a bar. We discussed a little place of business that Mr. Knight owned in Eugene. Had you any conversation with Mr. Winston about this prior to the time you met Mr. Knight? Yes, he told me about this thing, this business in Eugene, and he wanted me to meet Mr. Knight. All right, what was the discussion you had then in his beer bar? This was in regards to a clothing store on the state highway in Eugene, which he had wanted destroyed. And this conversation was with Mr. Knight? Yes, sir. Was anybody else present? Tony was also there at the time. All right. About how long did you talk to Mr. Knight on this date? We perhaps spent approximately a half hour together. All right. What, if any, arrangements did you make about this place of business on State Highway in Eugene? We discussed the money that was to be given to me. All right. And can you relate what that discussion was, please? Well, he said that he was going to pay $100,000 and that the money would sort of be left in escrow with Tony to be paid after the job was completed. All right. Were there any definite arrangements made about when the job was to be done? Well, yes. I went to Eugene once to look at the place. About a week after that, the place had to go before the 31st, something to that effect. 31st of what? 31st of what month, I mean? Well, the month of the explosion. Was that the 31st of December? I don't know what month it was. What were you talking about? You know,
You like the name Eugene? I should probably learn how to write that. Eugene. Okay.
said it had to be destroyed completely before the 31st of December? Yes, because of some insurance reason. It lapsed or expired or something to that effect. Well, now, was it in December that you went to Eugene, or do you recall? I think it was December that I went down there. All right, you stated that you went down there. Is that right? Yes, sir. Do you remember where you stayed when you were down there? When I was down there the first time, I stayed at the Hyatt Hotel in Eugene. All right. Your Honor, I have what appears to be a registration card from the Hyatt Hotel in the name of Eric McNabb. I would like this marked as People's Next in Order for identification. It will be marked People's 3 for identification. May I see that again, please? Thank you. Now, Mr. Patterson, I will show you People's number 3 for identification, and ask you if you can recognize that document. Yes, I do. How do you recognize it? That is my signature. All right. And the name on that is Eric McNabb. Is that correct? Eric McNabb, yes. This is my mother's maiden name. My mother's name is Deanna McNabb, and my mother's brother's name is Eric. Mr. Patterson, again, looking at the document, the date, I believe, appears to be November the 13th. Now, is that the correct date that you were there? November the 13th? Yes, Your Honor. Yes, sir. Could you relate to the jury, please, what you did when you were in Eugene on that particular day? On this particular day? Yes, when you were there at the Hyatt Hotel. Well, I went there to Eugene and I checked in at the Hyatt Hotel, and from there I went directly to a cocktail lounge and waited around until it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so I'm going to switch transcripts.
Switching transcripts. Oh!
We reached our followers goal of 740. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for following, everyone. 740. Next one is 750. Big 750. 5 is my favorite number, so thank you, Patrick. Also, what bothers you about Hisuian quillfish? I'm curious about that.
Right. This will also be pointed questioning. Now, you said that they were wrapped up in linens. Can you explain that to us? Yes. After removing the linens from the closet, I noticed that they were much heavier than they should have been. I unfolded one of them and found a large baggie of what appeared to be methamphetamine. I subsequently unfolded all the sheets and towels and discovered 3 more baggies. Is it common for people who engage in drug sales to hide drugs all over the house? Objection argumentative. Sustained. In your experience, officer, have you witnessed people who sell drugs? Same objection, Your Honor. No, he prefaced it by saying, in your experience, overruled. Officer, in your personal experiences dealing with people who sell drugs, is it common for them to hide drugs all over their residence? I have seen it, but I wouldn't say that it was common. You come across all sorts of things.
It's not water type, yet it lives in the water and breathes in the water. Oh, it is not a water type? What type is it? Normal or something?
When drugs are involved. Okay, was anything else removed? Yes, there was a loaded Beretta 380 under some towels. Is there any place you did not find a gun? There was literally no place in that house.
You hate the involving it of the quillfish? Why? Also, it's cool that it's a poison dark type, even if it isn't water.
Where a gun couldn't be reached in under 2 seconds. Objection, Your Honor. Move to strike. I'm sorry, counsel. That was my fault. Those last remarks will be stricken. Continue, Mr. Smith. Were any other drugs or weapons found in those cabinets? No. Where did you go next? I then went to the master bedroom. Let me grab People's Exhibit 3 real quick. All right, does this appear to be a diagram of the master bedroom? I know it isn't to scale, but does it appear similar? Yes. Tell us what you located in the master bedroom. Upon entering the room, I noticed a Mossberg 12-gauge pump-action shotgun leaning up against a wall next to the bed. Was that weapon loaded? Yes. Continue. In a nightstand next to the bed, I also found a loaded Colt .45 handgun. When we flipped over the mattress, we noticed that the fabric of the box spring had been cut and then repaired. I cut the box spring open and I discovered that a very large sum of money had been placed in there.
Okay, that's it for the 120 Q&A. I did a lot better on that. Because it was 120. 120 is around my current speed. You find bulky Pokemon just keep using the move over and over again to chase it? Okay. Okay, let's do the test next. Let's hope the test isn't anything vulgar.
Hello
or
everyone,
objectionable.
this is a 120 Q&A test. Plaintiff attorney is Mr. Sanchez, S-A-N-C-H-E.
Scrag3 just cheered 200 bits.
Oh, thank you for cheering some bits. Really close. Oh, over my 555 goal. Thank you.
We reached our new bits goal of 555. Thank you everyone.
Z. Defense attorney is Mr. Meyer, M-Y-E-R. Again, plaintiff attorney Mr. Sanchez, S-A-N-C-H-E-Z. And defense is Mr. Meyer, M-Y-E-R. This is going to start off with plaintiff attorney.
Plaintiff attorney.
Ready?
I am ready. Let's go.
And where were you positioned at that point? Where were you stationed? I was positioned at the WHP North River office where I currently am stationed. And you were patrolling? Yes. And upon some accidents, you would be called upon to perform some accident investigation? Yes, that happened all the time. And prior to the happening of this accident of 9/10/10, had you ever been involved as the primary investigating officer, writing the report and reporting a fatal accident? No. This was your first one? Yes. And prior to the happening of this accident, had you ever been involved in any respect in the investigation of a fatal or fatality accident? No. Prior to the happening of this accident, had you ever been involved in investigating any kind of an injury accident? Yes. And approximately how many injury accidents had you been involved in investigating before the accident? Approximately 15 injury collisions. And before the happening of this accident, had you been involved in investigating any property damage? Only accidents? Yes. And approximately how many had you been involved in before this accident? Approximately 75. Did you utilize any materials while you were at the academy? How can you explain that? Yeah, probably a bad question. Thanks for letting him know you didn't get it. While you were at the academy, did the instructors utilize any kind of PowerPoint, any kind of written materials, anything like at that? Yes. To train you? Yes. Would it be both PowerPoint and written materials? Correct. And with regard to the investigation of fatal accidents, did they use PowerPoint and written materials? Yes. Do you still have any of those written materials by chance? I don't. Okay, if I wanted to get copies of those to see what it is that the WHP trained with regard to investigation of fatal accidents, who would I go see or check with? I believe you'd call our office area in Finland Hills. Okay, and have you seen that they have copies of the materials that you used? I'm not sure of how the copies are distributed to the public. Okay, with regard to the investigation of the fatal accidents, tell me what it was that the WHP trained you to do as far as that investigation, those types of investigations. They trained me to go to the scene, document the collision, document the location of the evidence, speak with the witnesses, obtain their statements, document injuries to all parties, document damage to vehicles. Okay? Follow up with a significant other to find out a driver profile, which would be to help determine the state of mind of the driver prior to the collision, and document all on-scene emergency personnel as well as employees. Okay. So you came out of the academy, and I know you were stationed at the North River Station here in Finland Hills, correct? Yes. And do you go right away on patrol? You conduct it's approximately 3 months of field training with a field training officer. And that would bring us up to about January of 2009 or so. Yes. Okay. And did you have the 3 months of training? Yes. And who were your field training officers? My first field training officer was Officer Justin Stewart. My second field training officer was Officer Heidi Camden, last name Camden. My third field training officer was Officer Raymond Taft, last name Taft.
Okay, that's it for the test. Might do more 120. The stream ends in approximately an hour and a half. Whew. Why not do a drill? Sometimes the drills end up having Latin, French, or Spanish words, which I'm always happy to do.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 120 drill class. We're going to start off with some basic 120 briefs, which you can find on the 120 page. All right, so today we're going to cover deliberate, which is D-L-I-B, delib. Deliberation, D-L-I-B-G-S, so you're just adding the G-S for the shun. Development, V-E-M-T. Did you live is D-U-L, and you need to flag that so it doesn't conflict with dull. Okay. Do you live, D-O-U-L, again flag that so it doesn't conflict with dual. Do you mean? D-O-U-M. Now you don't need to flag do you mean. It doesn't conflict with anything. Do you mean? D-O-U-M. All right, so now I'm going to drill you on these. Ready? Deliberate, deliberation, development, did you live, do.
Deliberate. Deliberate. The ad break starts in a minute.
Do you live? Do you mean? Deliberation. Did you live? Do you mean? Deliberate. Development. Do you live? Deliberation. Did you live? Do you mean? Development. All right. Again, if you're rusty on those or you're not familiar with those, then I encourage you to go back and just practice them, okay?
Okay, ad break starts soon. Be right back. Okay, ad break has ended.
All right, now I have a paragraph that I'm going to read to you, and then I'm going to go back and read it again, but when I go back the second time to read it back, I want you to look at your notes, and I want you to read through your Steno notes. A lot of times we don't spend enough time reading our Steno notes, and it's so important, okay? You need to be able to read your notes. Even if it comes up in your dictionary, you still need to read the Steno, okay? All right, so here's a paragraph. Here we go. My mom and I visited several real estate offices seeking their service, and assistance in purchasing a house in the Bay City area. Most of the salesmen would ask us a set of questions about the kind of house we preferred. Each office manager would ask us to tell him about our credit background. For the next 3 days, we went through, I am sure, at least 20 houses. The house we selected, we previewed only once. Under the circumstances, even without the salesman's assistance, we knew enough about financing to know it was an exceptional bargain. 2 weeks ago, the sellers called the deal off, and we are now in the market for a new home again. Beginner's luck. All right, so I read that at 100. I'm going to read it back, and I want you to read through your Steno notes as I'm reading it back and compare what you have to what I read back, okay?
I don't have my Steno notes out.
My mom and I.
Okay, I'll just skip through this.
We went out assistant bargain mark lunch. Maybe thought it would be. So oftentimes that happens. You may think that you dropped several words, and then you go back and read your notes, and it's not as bad as you thought. Or maybe you had some mystery.
Oh, they changed the shiny colors for the quillfish? Still pink, but it's more dull colors? Okay.
Strokes, but now reading back your Steno, you know that you could have figured that out. So that's also, a common occurrence as well. All right. I'm going to give you some basic briefs from theory and then give you sentences. So you're going to hear May, June, secretary, without, Mr. and Mrs. And here are your sentences. My secretary took her vacation in June. Mr. Morton joined our firm in May. More foods are prepared without salt. Ask Mr. and Mrs. Cross to join the club. Do you have a secretary? Without doubt, June will be warmer than May. Mrs. Carter will arrive May 22 and leave on June 2. Mr. House dictated the letter to his secretary on May 17. Don't act without more consideration. Mr. and Mrs. Fielding are going to take a cruise in May and June. The longest day in the year is June 22nd. There is no admission after May 3 without a ticket. Mr. and Mrs. Swanson arrived without any luggage. Good secretaries are hard to find. What do her secretarial duties include? Many court reporters in outlying areas do secretarial duties for the court in addition to their reporting work. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson bought a new car last week. Do you graduate in May or in June? I don't think he would have made it without help. Who is your new secretary? Right. I'm going to give you some sentences that have numbers in them.
Sentences and numbers.
The latest statistics indicate that 27 million people have been victims of violent crimes. His total prize money was over $3 million. The stamps cost 60 cents and the postcards cost 75 cents. The investigator said that the robbers got away with $639.89. Did the motor oil cost you $10.10? There was a $13 entry and a $59 entry showing on the online banking. The state spending package included a $12.5 million allocation for highway construction. The charges were as follows: books, $126.95, materials, $20.15, and parking fees, $5.75. My recollection is that I paid $250.89 for the pistol. Did you say 2 cents or 20 cents? We spent 44 cents, not $44. Does the receipt say $17 or $18.10? Your Honor, I think there is a 0 missing in this serial number. One of the withdrawals was for $25 and the other one was for $99. The piece of property was originally listed for $330,000 or $340,000. And anytime you hear and a half, you can use the brief NAF, NAF, and that saves, 2 strokes and a half. Okay. All right, so we're going to do one more drill before we close out. I'm going to give you some legal briefs and sentences. So we have indicate, which is K long A-T, Kate. All right. Indict, D long I-T. Indictment, D long I-M-T. All right, so we're going to start with indicate, K long A-T. Did you indicate the position of the car? Indicate your injuries on the chart. Please indicate your preference. The pointer indicates the location. The mark indicates the crime scene. The officer indicated the blood stain. Where are the changes indicated? It is indicating the path of the storm. All right, indict, D long I-T, dict. There was enough evidence to indict him. Did they indict him for arson? The grand jury will indict them. They will indict everyone involved in the matter. The report indicts the board of directors. He is going to be indicted for fraud. Do you think he will be indicted? They are indicting all of the officers. And the last one is indictment, D long I-M-T, indictment. Ready? The indictment was returned. The jury handed down the indictment. The judge is pleased with the indictment. When was the indictment read? The grand jury issued the indictments. Were you indicted by the grand jury? Johnson was indicted for murder. They are indicting the president of the company. All right, and that concludes our drill.
Oh, you got the shiny cool fish? That's neat. Yeah, moving on to jury charge and literary.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 120 literary and jury charge. We're going to start right out with the continuation of Ed Gein.
No.
Made. Furthermore, you are not bound to as damages. Right. And you're going to hear the word pecuniary. Pecuniary, I write that as P-long-U-N. Pune.
How do you spell pecuniary? I've never even heard this word before. Pecuniary. I did spell it right. Pecuniary? Did it.
Pecuniary loss. It's usually how it's said. All right, here we go. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, the court instructs the jury that just compensation must be determined upon the evidence under the instructions of the court and not upon the statements of counsel outside of the evidence, if any such statements have been made. Furthermore, you are not bound to believe anything to be a fact simply because a witness stated it to be so, provided you believe from all the evidence that such witness is mistaken or has testified falsely as to such act. The damages, if any, to be awarded to the plaintiff are solely by way of compensation for pecuniary loss suffered by the parents of the deceased. You can allow no damages for pain and suffering of the deceased, nor can you allow any damages for the grief or mental suffering of the parents caused by the death of their son. The test is, in view of all the facts shown by the evidence, what was the probable pecuniary interest of the parents in the continuation of the life of the deceased? Under the law, a probable estimate may be arrived at by taking into account the occupation of the deceased and the income which he enjoyed, his health, age, and the probable duration of life of the survivors. Also the talents of the deceased, his habits of industry, his success in life, and the amount of aid in money or services which he was accustomed to furnish to his parents. This estimate you will arrive at from the evidence in the case. The parents had a legal claim upon the deceased for their support, and it is presumed that they suffered some pecuniary loss. The amount of such loss is for the jury to determine. If the plaintiff is entitled to recover in this case, he is entitled to recover, in addition to the pecuniary loss, already referred to, the reasonable value of doctor bills, funeral expenses, and all other disbursements paid out as a result of the death. Okay.
Pecuniary. We have 1 hour left in the stream.
So we're going to read about Facts of the Body Part 2.
Facts of the body. Anatomy
Right,
stuff.
here we go. Ready? Drinking lowers rather than rises the body temperature. There is an illusion of heat because alcohol causes the capillaries to dilate and fill with blood. In very cold weather, drinking alcoholic beverages can lead to frostbite. The strongest bone in the body, the thigh bone, is hollow. Ounce for ounce, it has a greater pressure tolerance and bearing strength than a rod of equivalent size cast in solid steel. Type O is the most common blood type in the world. Type AB is the rarest. There is also a subtype called AH, but to date, only 3 people in the world are known to have had it. The substance that human blood resembles most closely in terms of chemical composition is seawater. There are almost 6 million red blood cells in a cubic millimeter of human blood. The entire body contains about 30 trillion red blood cells. When a person inhales several breaths of carbon monoxide, more than half of the blood's hemoglobin combines with the gas, leaving only half the red blood cells to carry oxygen. This has the same effect on the body as a sudden loss of 50% of one's red blood cells. 15 million red blood cells are produced, and an equal number are destroyed every second. The average brain comprises 2% of a person's total body weight, yet it requires 25% of all oxygen used by the body, as opposed to 12% used by the kidneys and 7% by the heart. The body has 70,000 miles of blood vessels. The heart pumps blood through the labyrinth and back again once every minute. A person breathes 7 quarts of air every minute. The average person takes from 12 to 18 breaths per minute. The right lung takes in more air than the left. The human brain is 80% water, more watery than our blood. The human brain is insensitive to pain. The suffering of a headache comes not from the organ itself, but from the nerves and muscles lining it. Neanderthal man, the first human being in the true sense, had a brain capacity of 100 cc's larger than modern man's. The average human heart beats about 100,000 times every 24 hours. In a 72-year lifetime, the heart beats more than 2.5 billion times. A woman's heart beats faster than a man's. During pregnancy, the uterus expands to 500 times its normal size. During menstruation, the sensitivity of a woman's middle finger is reduced. The human tongue tastes bitter things with the taste buds toward the back. Salty and pungent flavors are tasted in the middle of the tongue. Sweet flavors at the tip. Interesting facts. There's part 3, but we're going to stop there. All right, moving right into some literary. Today, I would like to share my thoughts with you about a problem that worries millions of Americans: high prices that keep getting higher. All across this land, hard-working men and women look at paychecks that say they have had a raise. But they wonder why those bigger checks just don't buy any more than their lower paychecks bought 4 years ago. All across this land, men and women in their retirement who depend on insurance and on Social Security and on their life savings look at their monthly checks and wonder why they just can't seem to make ends meet anymore. And all across this land, housewives wonder why they have to pay $4 for a pound of hamburger that cost $3.50 4 years ago. People who are ill want to know why the cost of one day in a hospital has gone from $250 to $350. Children who pay $1 for a candy bar want to know why that candy bar is only half as big as it used to be. When it comes to rising prices, it seems to most people that there is no end in sight. Many Americans are upset, and many are even angry about this. They have a right to be, because the ever-rising cost of food and clothing and rent robs them of their savings, cheats them of the vacations and those necessary extras that they thought they had been working for. Why does everything cost so much? And what can we do to hold down the rise of prices? For 5 long years, you have heard politicians and economists denouncing the high cost of living. Back in 2006 and 2007, when prices rose by 3% a year, everyone said how bad that was. In 2008, when prices speeded up by 4%, everyone agreed something had to be done. Now, when momentum has carried the rise to nearly 6%, the same heads are shaking. You might begin to wonder, if a rising cost of living has so many enemies, why has it been allowed to grow so fast? For years, in political speeches, the high cost of living has been as safe to denounce as the man-eating shark. But after the speeches were over, nobody seemed to be doing anything about it. There was a fairly simple reason why your cost of living got out of hand. The blame for the spiral of wages and prices falls fundamentally on the past policies of your government. When this administration took office 9 months ago, we decided that we were going to stop talking about higher prices, and we were going to start doing something about them. We knew that some experienced investors could make out fairly well in a time of rising prices, but the average family bore the brunt of the high cost of living, and the family on a fixed income was being driven up the wall. And so, to meet the real needs of most Americans, we began a steady effort to take the upward pressure off your cost of living. Of course, there was a faster way available to bring prices down. Many people suggested that we slam on the brakes hard and fast and bring about a recession, but that kind of shock treatment is harsh and unnecessary. We want to level things off, not shake them up and down. Step by step, we took those measures necessary to get our nation's house in order. Working with the Congress, we proposed to phase out the tax surcharge over the course of a year. We could not afford to let the surtax lapse in the middle of 2009 because that would have... the rest of this sentence is cut off. Sorry about that. I just realized that. So let me finish this paragraph, okay? We call for your support in our policy of holding down federal spending so that we are able to continue setting an example with a responsible budget for the fiscal year 2011. We call upon citizens to urge their state and local governments to cooperate in postponing spending that can appropriately be delayed. All right, so we'll stop there. There's just a little bit, there's a few more paragraphs left, but we'll stop.
Yeah, that's it for that. Let's do the Q&A now.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 120 Q&A practice. We're going to start off with some direct examination. So plaintiff will be questioning. Ready? Mrs. Taroni, what, please, is your relationship to Stacy Lee Burkhart?
Bye, Patrick. Have a good day. Good night. Have a good night. Bye.
I am her grandmother. What is your husband's full name? Charles Edward Taroni. Now, ma'am, how long has Stacy Lee Burkhart lived with you? Well, let me think for just 1 minute. Counsel, excuse me, do you want to lay for just 1 minute? Counsel, excuse me, do you want to lay a foundation for that question? Very well, Your Honor. Mrs. Taroni, do you recollect or remember? You can answer this, yes or no. Do you recollect the circumstances under which Stacy Lee Burkhart came to live in your home? Yes, I do. Will you briefly relate the circumstances of Stacy coming to live in your home? Stacy's aunt, my daughter, would email me, asking me if I knew of someone or if I could care for Stacy. And as she was unable to care for her, she was 1.5 years old at that time. All right, would you give me the full name of your daughter, please? Yes, Stephanie Comstock. Is that the lady who is out in the hallway now? Yes. Excuse me, you say she emailed you? Yes, I had several emails from her and also phone calls. Where was she living at the time? In Silver Springs, Maryland. Now, Mrs. Taroni, did you see out in the hallway today a lady who at one time was the wife of Mr. Leland Taroni? Yes. What is her name if you know? Kristen Burkhart. Would you spell it? KRISTINBURKHART. Do you understand? Strike that. What relationship is Kristen Burkhart to Stacy? She's Stacy's natural mother. All right. Now, do you remember approximately what date Stacy came to live with you? July the 6th, 2010. Pardon me? July the 6th, 2010. And who physically brought Stacy to your home on that date? My son, Leland Taroni, and my daughter. Are you referring to Stephanie Comstock? Yes. Do you have any recollection of the conversations of that date concerning Stacy being brought there? Well, they just mentioned that both of the children would be left there. The other little girl, Annie, was about 2.5 at that time. They said she was unable to care for both children, especially Stacy, since she was still in diapers and taking a bottle. And so I agreed that I would watch her, thinking it would only be something temporary. Then, because I just didn't expect the mother to leave both of her children. Now, a moment ago, you said she was unable to care. Who do you refer to when you say she? Kristen Burkhart. To help us on the record, Mrs. Taroni, don't say he, she, or they. Would you use a name each time? Now, from the time that Stacy was first brought to you, strike that. How long did Stacy then live in your home? Was it from the time that she was brought until the present moment? She has lived there about 12.5 years now. Have you received any financial support from Mr. Leland Taroni? The first 3 years Leland paid some, I'll say not more than $100 a month. The last money Leland gave me was in November 2013. He gave me $150. Was that cash or how was that paid? Cash. How do you remember that the last cash you received from Mr. Taroni for Stacy was in 2013? Well, he hadn't been. Mr. Taroni hadn't been giving me much money anyway, so I just wrote it down, kept track of it. Do you recollect, ma'am, that Mr. Taroni testified in Rockville that he gave you $60 to $100 each month? Yes, I know he said that. And do you recollect how long he said he provided $60 to $100 cash to you each month? Yes. What was his statement, if you remember? The whole time Stacy has been with me, Mr. Taroni said he gave me that much money up until sometime in March of this year. Can you explain at all, ma'am, why you tell one version and he tells another? No, sir, I can't. Did Mr. Taroni ever pay any monies to you with a check instead of with cash? No, sir. To your knowledge, did Mr. Taroni Leland ever give either cash or a check for Stacy to your husband, Charles Taroni? No. Your Honor, I must ask, does Your Honor have any of the court files or exhibits that were down in Silver Springs? There were certain calendars. The only thing I have is this juvenile court file in Ray, Stacy Lee Burkhart. Does Your Honor have any information as to where the exhibits might be that were in Silver Springs? No, sir. Okay, so we'll switch transcripts.
I'm switching transcripts. Okay, we got a $30. Do monologues as part of video links just go in chat? Should I just pass it over? You can put it in chat. I allow links in chat. Thank you for the $30 donation. And one pull. Oh. And 160. Okay. I'll do 160. Let me open up the 160 class real quick. The monologue stops at 30 seconds in. Couldn't find a copy without the other third of the video. Okay. Been lurking while I've been working and been really enjoying watching how stenography works. It is so much fun, isn't it? Even just watching it is fascinating. I love watching other people do stenography. There's one other person that I know of who does stenography on Twitch. Well, two other people, but one of them is actually a court reporter now. They were working on Twitch for like, I don't know, a couple years, and they became a court reporter recently. But the other person is Jonas's Water. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do a raid. Excuse me. I meant to, shout out there. Jonas's Water. They're a music producer, so most of their streams are either them playing video games or producing music on stream, but sometimes they do stenography. Okay. Let's try this, this video. Gonna have to reposition the notepad over here. I keep having to mute, but the times I can watch has been really interesting. I'm glad for that.
Here's the thing.
Okay. Whoops.
Here's the thing. I don't know what you kids are up to, but I do know one thing. Laws are threats made by the dominant socioeconomic ethnic group in a given nation.
I don't know how to write socioeconomic. What? What is this messed up way of writing it? Socioeconomic. 10 out of 10 monologue choice.
It's just a promise.
It's too bad that the functionality with YouTube Shorts is that it makes it a little difficult to rewind.
Of violence that's enacted in Police are basically an occupying army. You know what I mean? You guys want to make some bacon? He pulls a mask over his face, pulls a lit Molotov cocktail out of his mailbag, and whew,
That was on fire the whole time?
hold on, kiddo!
You're so brave!
He goes, boom, hits the lock, opens the jail cell. You see the fucking halflings with like black ski masks rappel in, just start opening fires, smashing.
Oh yeah, my mom works here. A lot of these people are good people.
Let's make some fucking bacon!
Let's go!
Here's the thing.
Oh my
I don't know
god.
what you kids are up to, but I do know one
Goes really fast.
thing. Laws are threats made by the dominant socioeconomic ethnic group in a given nation. It's just the promise of violence that's enacted, and police are basically an occupying army. You know what I mean? You guys want to make some bacon? He pulls a mask over his face, pulls a lit Molotov cocktail out of his mailbag, and whew,
That was on fire the whole time?
hold on, kiddo!
You're so brave!
He goes, boom!
Let's see how to write Molotov. Molotov is Molotov or Molotov? Molotov.
Hits the lock, opens the jail cell. You see the fucking halflings with like black ski masks rappel in, just start opening fires, smashing.
Oh yeah, my mom works here. A lot of these people are good people.
Let's make some fucking bacon!
Let's go!
Here's the thing. I don't know what you kids are up to, but I do.
This is really fun to see, thanks. Thank you for donating the money. This is pretty funny. I'm finding this video to be enjoyable.
You know one thing. Laws are threats made by the dominant socioeconomic ethnic group in a given nation. It's just the promise of violence that's enacted, and police are basically an occupying army. You know what I mean? You guys want to make some bacon? He pulls a mask over his face, pulls a lit Molotov cocktail out of his mailbag, and whew,
That was on fire the whole time?
hold on, kiddo!
You're so brave!
He goes, boom, hits the lock, opens the jail cell. You see the fucking halflings with like black ski masks rappel in, just start opening fires, smashing.
Oh yeah, my mom works here. A lot of these people are good people.
Let's make some fucking bacon!
Let's go!
Here's the thing. I don't know what you kids are up to, but I do know one thing. Laws are threats.
This is I'm giving this video a like. I'm sorry that I can't keep up. It's going too fast for me. I am at 120 words per minute, and this seems to be going at like 225. One of my favorite things on the internet, Brennan Lee Mulligan, is truly amazing. As a person who works in law, I fear this kind of monologue has probably been said by someone in court. Probably. I haven't seen anything so far on any of the dictations I've done. There are a few dictations. Let me actually pull up something. When I practice stenography every day, I like to do little threads on Blue Sky of my progress. I just take screenshots and I write out new briefs that I've just learned, ways to write things, out of context screenshots of transcripts. And there was a few in particular. I read this to my spouse the other night. Okay. Oh yeah. So there was a transcript. It was an article from a court reporter who said that she had 400-page days for a job. 400 pages is a ton of work to do for like a week or two. Like, that's a lot. She said that there were 40 attorneys in the room, and that she's also had to do transcripts with 80 participants. When the option was there was like all I could think about. The idea of it being reading the stenography just made it that much better. Oh yeah. Okay, and then there was, oh yeah, an exchange in this transcript. Question. So I take it based on the fact that, isn't Mr. Kane Ron Kane? That's a man, isn't it? Answer, that's a man, correct? Question, let me back up. There was another one in the transcript. Question, okay, alright. And when you, at that point in your mind, when the police came and said there was a drug problem there, was that before? Answer, oh, way before that. Question, oh, way before? Answer, way before that. There's a lot of repetition in court that I've noticed. Sometimes they just repeat things back and forth. I think it's to make sure that the record is clear, but it could not be any more clearer than when they go back and forth and just repeat the same words over and over again. Sometimes the judge will chime in and do the repeating. Okay, there was another one. Oh yeah, this is the last one I'll read. Question, at about what time of the day was that? Do you remember? Answer, well, it was in the morning. I don't know the exact time. Question, well, would you say it was 2 hours before noon or an hour before noon? Answer, oh, well, around 9, I guess. Question, and was the dog there at that time? Answer, yes, it was. Question, incidentally, what kind of dog is this? Answer, it's just a dog. Question, how large is the dog? Answer, not terribly big. Question, would you say he is 2 feet high if he is standing on 4 legs? Answer, gosh, I don't know. Question, do you know how heavy the dog is? Answer, no, I don't. I have never weighed it. Question, approximately how old is the dog? Answer, around 9. I don't know exactly. And I don't know why they were focusing on this dog for so much of this transcript. And it's never resolved. That's the funny thing about, like, reading court transcripts like that. The answers really are so vague. There was a specific, this unfortunate, it was a dog bite transcript. It was about a child who got bitten by a dog, which is really sad. But I think they were questioning one of the child's older brothers. And the child was so vague for most of their responses. It's like, yeah, it was a traumatizing event for this child, so no wonder that the responses are so vague. I feel really bad for the people in these transcripts sometimes, but sometimes the ways that they get told in court is so funny. Oh, I remember another one. This one was really funny. So the questioning attorney was asking about an incident that occurred inside of, like, a mall shopping area inside of one of the stores. And it was a woman and her sister. They were shopping, and at one point the woman says that she fell into, like, a something that was stacked, and it didn't make any sense. And then she says she went to the hospital for it. And it was like, but how did you fall into, like, this, I don't know, I think it was a table or something. Like a table that was stacked on top of another one on, like, a platform. I could, like, sometimes I hear things and it makes me pause for a second. And I'm like, is this really a reality? I don't want to do court, though. I want to do captioning. Captioning is so much more difficult, but I would love to be a captioner, a live captioner. Currently, I do provide captions on VGen and Coffee. I don't get a lot of commissions, but when I do, it's like, oh yes, this is what I want to do. I love captioning. And I hope that showing people how it all works gets more people interested in captioning in particular. If y'all want to look at the software that I use, it's free. It's called Plover. I believe it's openstenoproject.org. I believe that's the website. Let me make sure. Yeah. Be interesting to do court transcripts, but you study criminal justice, so you're biased. Yeah, I think I'm in a Discord full of court reporters, and they're always talking about their jobs. Sometimes they share out of context screenshots of the transcripts they're working on. It's a very tough job, and gratefully they are well paid for their work. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, I have 500 pages to do. And I'm just reading it, and I'm like, oh my god, you have 500 pages to proofread? You did the 500 pages already, and now you have to proofread it? It is bonkers to me. But they make it work, which to me is just like heroic in some way. It is, court reporting is so cool. And of course, so is captioning. Let's see, if I can, I don't have any more screenshots of transcripts that I know of that I could talk about. Let me try this video again.
Made by the dominant socioeconomic ethnic group in a given nation. It's just a promise of violence that's enacted, and police are basically an occupying army. You know what I mean? You guys want to make some bacon?
He pulls mask over his face, pulls a lit Molotov cocktail out of his...
Oh yeah, the Plover wiki too, yes. I love the Plover community. It is, you know what's really, really cool? Is recently, they just announced this, like today, someone created a keyboard that is lever-based. It's so much cheaper than getting a machine like I have for $350, but it is a lever-based machine. It's like getting a typewriter, basically. They just released it. It must have taken so much time and effort to create it from first principles. Like they said specifically that they didn't reverse engineer anything because they didn't want to like accidentally forget, I don't know what the word is for this, but like the patent situation, because there is a monopoly in the court reporting industry. The monopoly is controlled by Stenograph, which is a company that creates Steno machines. They didn't want to risk like accidentally recreating something that was in the patent, so they made it from scratch. It is so impressive. And now people don't have to, these machines are like thousands of dollars. It's unfortunate. They are thousands of dollars. Like the newer ones are like $3,000 to $6,000. So getting a keyboard that is lever-based, which is basically what the machines are, and getting it for $350 is such a steal. It is so cheap. And I think it's going to make it so much easier for people to get into court reporting and captioning because otherwise it's so expensive. Even the software that they use professionally is very expensive too. It's also in the thousands of dollars. So I only use Plover. I'm trying to only use Plover for everything because I just can't afford to spend like $3,000 on a license for a software that I'll be using for like the rest of my career. It's just so much money. Why do they need to be lever-based versus a regular keyboard? They do have regular keyboards. Those ones are $100, and they use really light switches, so they're very sensitive. The benefit of it being lever-based is that the lever is at the very top of the keyboard, and when you hit one of the keys, it's like all the pressure is equalized across the entire machine. So it makes it more ergonomic, and it makes it more practical for writing at high speeds for hours at a time. But regular keyboards still work. As long as they are NKRO keyboards, which means that you can hit multiple keys at the same time. They said in the Discord around 200 grams for keyboard-based machine, but 80 for the lever-based machine. Yes, a lot easier to press. There are people who do develop repetitive stress injuries anyway from the lever-based machines, but it's far less often than when they use a keyboard. Actually, the person who created Open Steno Project, Mirabai Knight, she uses a keyboard, actually. Not even a lever-based machine or a lever-based keyboard. She uses a regular one that has super sensitive keys. I believe, forget which one she uses. But it's very beloved in the Discord server. It's highly recommended. Let me see if I can find it, actually. Oh, I don't want to accidentally, dox myself. So let me look it up on my phone. StenoKeyboards.com. Doesn't seem like it's on the website, so it might be a different product. Yeah, it's not on the website. Oh, there's a 3-minute ad break starting. Okay. BRB. I'll still be talking.
Scrack3 just subscribed with Prime.
Wow, thank you for the subscription. I really appreciate it. Now you're able to hear me right now. The ad break does end in 30 seconds. I'm glad everyone has been enjoying the stream. I do have 2 other slots for Point of Pride. I wrote it all on Notepad. Let's see. I'll wait until the ad break ends. So I do have 2 other slots for Point of Pride charity stream. Thursday 18th at 3:30 p.m. and the same time on Saturday the 27th. So you'll see me pop up with the Steno streams on those days too. You love my VTuber model? My friend made it for me. she contacted me and was like, I really want to get into making and rigging models. Can I do one for you? And I was like, hell yeah. And then she took a few months and she came out with this really, really cute model. She rigged it herself on stream. It was so exciting. And ever since, I've been using it for streaming because VTube Studio is really easy to open up. It's easy on the computer. And also, I just love it. I'm just so grateful for it. It's so cute. Okay. Let's close out a notepad. Take off the BRB screen. And as requested, gonna do 160 words per minute.
Welcome to Literary and Jury Charge Practice. Let's get started. With some jury charge.
We got 18 minutes left. So I won't be finished with this.
Ready? This count, in effect, charges that the defendant willfully attempted to evade income taxes owing by himself and his wife Marilyn Fisher for the year 1953 in the amount of $10,272.50. The 6th, 7th, and 8th counts of the indictment are similar in form to the 5th count, with the exception that the 6th count refers to the year 19...
Okay, wait a second. This person is being charged with like 10 counts of tax evasion? They've been tax evading for so long that they racked up at least 10 counts? That's bonkers! How did they do that? Why would they do that for so long? They thought they wouldn't get caught? I guess once they did it the first time around, they were like, the government isn't gonna catch me. I might as well continue. That sucks. Okay.
54, and charges that the defendant willfully attempted to evade income taxes owing by the defendant and his wife for that year in the sum of $9,411.46, and that the 7th count refers to the year 1955 and charges that the defendant willfully...
It could be an accountant has been committing fraud on behalf of clients, but I think they said that it was their own income tax. Yeah, they're just doing a lot of tax evasion.
attempted to evade income taxes owing by the defendant and his wife for the year 1955 in the sum of $11,588.85, and that the 8th count refers to the year 1956 and charges that the defendant willfully attempted to evade income taxes owing by the defendant and his wife for the year 1956 in the sum of $20,740.60.
That one went by so fast. I had a hard time even processing what was being said.
A little warm up there.
It's a little warm up, she said. Once you get to the high speeds,
this next
the
jury
warm-ups
charge
are just diabolical.
is also on income tax evasion. Let's try this one.
Love income tax evasion. Let's continue doing it.
Here we go. Upon his arraignment, the defendant entered his plea of not guilty to each of the offenses charged in this indictment. These pleas put in issue every material allegation of the indictment and places the burden upon and makes it the duty of the prosecution, before a conviction can be had of the crime charged in any count thereof, to establish to the exclusion of all reasonable doubt every fact essential to a conviction of the crime charged in each count of the indictment. Each of the 8 counts of the indictment in this case charges a violation of Section 14(5)(b) of Title 26 United States Code, which so far as applicable here reads, quote, "Any person who willfully attempts in any manner to evade or defeat any tax imposed by this chapter shall be guilty of an offense," close quote. The gist of the offense charged in the indictment is the willful attempt upon the part of the defendant for himself and his wife to evade or defeat a large part of the tax imposed by the income tax laws for the years 1951 through 1956 inclusive. The word attempt as used in this law involves two elements. First, an attempt to evade or defeat the tax. Second, some act willfully and knowingly done in furtherance of such attempt. Now, the word attempt contemplates that the defendant had knowledge and understanding that during each of the years in question, he and his wife each had income in those years that was taxable, and which they were required by law to report, and that he attempted to evade and defeat the taxes thereon, or a substantial portion thereof, by willfully failing to report all taxable income which he knew they had during said calendar years, and for which he knew it was their duty to state in their returns for such years. There are various schemes, subterfuges, and devices that may be tried in order to evade or defeat the tax. The one alleged in this indictment is that of filing false and fraudulent returns with the intent to defeat the tax or the tax liability. The gist of the crime consists in willfully attempting to escape the tax. The attempt to evade and defeat the tax must be a willful attempt, that is to say, it must be made with the intent to keep from the government a tax imposed by the income tax laws, which it was the duty of the defendant to pay to the government. By fraudulent is meant actual intentional wrongdoing, and the intent required is the specific purpose to evade a tax.
I could not process any of what was being said, but I do know that they did tax evasion from 1951 to 1956. That's a really old transcript.
All right, now let's try some literary material.
Okay, I hope the literary material is PG. I've been having to skip through it. Yep, those are all words.
If you find that you are procrastinating because a task seems overwhelming or your life has too many time robbers, it can help to take a step back and break the assignment into smaller parts. Take a walk, close your eyes, and take a couple deep breaths, or simply reframe your situation. Sometimes we intensify our experience of stressful situations by the way we look at them. Look at your situation in a different way, and you may find a new way to tackle the problem. The small successes that come from small steps and reasonable goals build over time to help you complete the larger task. Finally, be flexible. Don't be so hard on yourself. Remember how far you have come and what you've already accomplished. If something happens that turns your schedule upside down, don't panic.
This is just a direct attack at me. That's how you write accomplished. THRGS.
Meet the crisis calmly and do your best to get back on track as soon as possible. If you need help, reach out to family and friends, classmates and teachers. They are all rooting for you to succeed.
That's a really sweet ending. Sometimes they read self-help stuff. The transcript that I'm really interested in that she sometimes pulls out for 120 is a transcript for a deposition for an EMT. I'm really interested in that one. It was about they had a call for a woman who was found face down in the middle of the road. And it's just a lot of really fascinating information about what EMTs do. I look forward to that transcript. I believe she does it for the 120 class, this particular instructor. The other instructor, she likes to pull out the dog bite transcript, which is what she called it.
This literary is called The Strange Case of the Boston Strangler.
Okay, let's not do the Boston Strangler one. Let's move on. Okay, literary.
Let's get back to our...
You follow a few EMTs on YouTube and it's always fascinating to hear them talk about their work? Oh, I bet.
Our literary on The Strange Case of the Boston Strangler.
Why are we
Scrat
continuing
just
this?
redeemed Autism Preacher.
Yeah, no Boston Strangler one. Land description. I don't know what land description is, but whenever they do land description, it's like there's just words, and it's like, each word following the other one doesn't make any sense to me, so I'm trying to process it while I'm writing. Also, thank you for redeeming Autism Preacher. And I just like, they're just words. They don't mean anything to me for land description. It's like, I don't even understand what a land description is. I would be interested in the Strangler one, but I'd rather not watch Twitch kill the Ray Train. I would definitely do that on either on my own or on my Thursdays Steno stream. Thank you for the follow.
Our jury charge. And this
oh, this is jury charge.
jury charge
It's been labeled improperly. Probably
is
by
a
YouTube.
land description.
Oh, land description.
So
It is land description.
lots of numbers. Good number practice.
Good number practice, yes. But will I be able to
Here we go.
put it... Huh?
Here are the names of the owners and the location of their land. Charles Lyon has 40 acres in the southwest 1/4, northeast 1/4, section 35, township 112, range 41. Philip Van Merritt has 40 acres in the southeast 1/4, northeast 1/4, section 35, township 112, range 41. Helen W. Hall has 40 acres in the southwest 1/4, southeast 1/4, section 34, township 112, range 41. C.J. Hilton has 40 acres in the southeast 1/4, southwest 1/4, section 34, township 112, range 41. Pearl Wagner has 40 acres in the northwest 1/4, northeast 1/4, section 3, township 111, range 41. Donald Moon has 466.7 feet by 466.7 feet in the southwest 1/4, northwest 1/4, section 3, township 111, range 41. P.R. Bentley has 150 feet by 250 feet in the southwest 1/4, northwest 1/4, section 3, township 111, range 41. Olson and Johnson Inc. have 466.7 feet by 859.3.
With how little I can absorb what she's saying, it's nice to hear her stumble a little there. Makes me feel like less like I'm falling way behind. I have no clue what she's saying. She's describing land, obviously, but it's like, what do all these things mean? In the southwest 1/4, northwest 1/4, what? Section 3?
feet, less 150 feet by 250 feet in the southwest 1/4, northwest 1/4, section 3, township 111, range 41.
Okay, she's done, so... She said it was good number practice, which it is.
Good number practice. I hope you were able to hang on.
I was not able to hang on.
Let's read a little bit more from our Boston Strangler.
We can't do the Boston Strangler. We can't do that. It's illegal on Twitch. I'll definitely do that tomorrow. I have all of these tabs open for classes because they keep reading from violent transcripts and stuff, and it's like I would be okay with it, but not for this stream.
This is a 160 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff attorney, Mr. Jones, capital Jones. Defense attorney, Ms. MS period, Reyes, capital Reyez. And we will start with the plaintiff.
Okay, we're starting with the plaintiff.
Ready?
Okay, this is the last thing we do this stream.
All right. And I'm usually the one that does most of the unloading when I'm there. All right. Do you know where the truck that you were unloading on that day was from? What company? No, I don't recall. What was the first thing you did in preparation to unload the truck? Well, I got on the forklift, went to the truck, talked to the driver. What do we need to unload? He pointed it out. We began to unload. When you looked at the load, did you do anything to change the length of the forks? No, sir. Which forks were on the forklift at the time you were unloading this particular truck? The extended forks. And did you think you needed the extended forks in order to properly offload the material that was on this truck? Number one, these forks are left on the forklift 99% of the time. We usually take them off when it's necessary to take them off for a smaller load, something real small, or a small tight area where you have to work. So the answer would be they were on there, but yes, I did need them to unload the truck. Okay, well, when I went out there with them on, not knowing. Like I say, we normally use them for all our loads if we can. We don't take them off. Have you ever taken the extended forks off? I have. What was your reason to do that? Usually a small work area, a smaller pallet, and like inside the warehouse, if we have a tight area or something, and you can use the shorter forks. I mean, it just cuts off a foot and a half, so you can back up and, maneuver better. Okay, did you ask anything about the load that you were offloading in terms of the weight? No, I did not. Describe what you were offloading from this truck on the date of the accident, June 7, 2009. At the time of the incident, yes, it was 2 pallets approximately 2 foot square, and it was loaded with banding material approximately 3 foot high each pallet. At the time I started to unload it, I asked the driver about handling both of them at the same time. I want to be careful how I say it. I came up to unload the truck and we're to unload these 2 pallets, actually not knowing what the pallets were on the pallets. We unload a lot of those and this sort of thing. I had never unloaded. I had moved these kinds of pallets with the banding on it, but I had never unloaded them off a truck before. Now, are you talking about you had never unloaded off of a truck this banding material? Correct. Or how about the size of pallet that the banding material was on? Had you? Yes. You had unloaded that? Yes. Type of pallet? I had. When you first went out to the truck to unload this banding material, were there only a total of 2 pallets that you were unloading, or had you already unloaded some material before this accident occurred? I really can't recall. I mean, the incident stands out, and I can't recall positively one way or the other. All right, so you don't you don't have an independent recollection that you may have offloaded a couple of palettes, just single palettes before this load where the incident occurred? Honestly, I can't say. I think I did, but I'm guessing, and you don't want that. Don't want that. Don't want to get a guess. Just your best recollection. I'm going to show you a photograph. We'll mark this. Can I just borrow these? We'll mark the first photograph as Exhibit 1. I'd like you to take a look at that and tell me if you can tell me what's depicted in the photograph. The 2 palettes we were unloading. Alright, and this is a photograph taken after the pallets had fallen off and were on the ground. Correct. Have they been moved in any way from their position after they fell off when the photograph was taken? If you can tell, may call for speculation. You can answer, I don't believe so. Alright, and this is the banding material that we're talking about. Correct. And at the time you were offloading the material, you were attempting to carry both pallets of banding material. Is that correct? Correct. All right.
Okay, this is the end of the stream. Let me close the browser. Thank you everyone who stuck around for the stream, for the nice conversation about stenography, accessibility, captioning, transcription. Love that. Make sure you look at the openstenoproject.org to learn even more about stenography. There is a very busy stenography Discord. There's 2 of them. One is for court reporters and students, and the other one is for anyone who's interested in stenography, hobbyists. That's mostly what the Discord server is for. Thanks for streaming. This was really interesting. Glad you were on the train here. Very glad to have found your stream through it. Awesome. Okay. I am to raid the next person. I believe it is. Let me get up. Cozy Armory. Okay. Tomorrow I am doing a regular stream. Well, technically it's today, Friday. I'm playing Rido Remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army for the first time. It won my game survey poll. Cozy Armory. So I might see y'all tomorrow for Friday. Later on today for my Friday stream. And anyone else, thank you. And happy Pride. Goodbye, everybody.